Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. I am laughing because yesterday I recorded a 15-minute clip. It was it's a show that's going to air today. As a matter of fact, it's going to air in about 2 minutes. And I recorded it, and I had a couple of people listen to it, and they said it was a fantastic message. Well, I listened to it today. The whole thing was about 15 minutes. It encouraged me to know, and I thought, oh my gosh. Now, if I didn't know that I was the one that recorded it, and if I didn't recognize my voice, I would have thought it was the best inspirational, motivational message that I've heard. And of course, today is a great day because it's kind of like I needed that. And I needed it because this is all new to me. I think I mentioned in previous shows. I'm not sure if I did or not, but I'm going to do in this one. This is a new show. I started this show June 1st, and this is the first time I'm going solo. June 1st, my guest was April Chavez, and she had a fantastic message. She's actually the host of the Wellness Driven Show that airs every day at 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Following that, the next week I had on Naomi Butler, and she had just a great story to share about her healing and how she is now living her best life. Last week, Crystal was on. Crystal Nachampasak was on with me, and she is a refugee from Laos and made her way to America years ago, and just had a great story. When she got a job here, she did not speak English, knew nothing, never driven a car, spent $500 on a car that was a junk car. In Spanish, we will call that un cacharrito. And today she is very successful. She's driving a Tesla. And, from a cacharrito to a Tesla, big jump. So that story was very inspirational. And she is forging ahead with her dream and just living her best life. Week 4. We are in week 4, and I had no guests. But I am so okay with that because when I took this course, this training for on how to have your own show, the whole idea really is to bring on guests on every show so that they can share stories that's inspiring and motivating and informative to inspire the audience and so forth. And the shows generally would last an hour, and you bring people on, and there's this calendar that's part of the training. It's called calendar. You set up this calendar, and people can sign in, register themselves to come on your show and be a featured guest. I didn't do that part just because I am still trying to figure out what's going to work best for me. I know that I like to share my experiences because that's just the way it is. And this is my show. And I just figured out, Cynthia, you can do whatever you want on your show because it is my show. Glad for the training, but I can add whatever twist and the instructor, that's exactly what she said. It is your show. You can do whatever you want on your show, your own content, all of that. So what I plan to do, and I'm still kind of getting a feel of it as to how it's gonna all pan out. There are some things that I have in my heart, things that I share with my clients. I am a motivational, transformational life coach. So I have people that I talk with, I coach, I encourage, I walk alongside them, partner with them so that they can reach their potential, their goal, their highest, living their best life now, and so forth. Most of the people that I talk with, just like I was at one time, we really don't know who we are. Why? Because we're living a personality. We are living an identity that was imposed upon us from childhood. The influences around you, social conditioning, cultural conditioning, your teachers, your parents, religious leaders, and so forth. So you come out with thoughts and ideas that are ingrained, that are embedded in your mind, create a mindset that have you doing things, living your life on default, automatically, creating habits that just keep you doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and really limits you from achieving your goals, your potential, your dreams, your heart's desires, and so forth. And sometimes that leads us into a place of depression or anxiety because we simply don't know. And some people don't really know how to get out of it, how to get out of that. Well, I have figured it out. There was a time in my life as well where I really had no direction, but that was long, long time ago. But one thing I did know is that I am positive and I'm optimistic. I needed to learn how to train my mind, how to reframe my thinking from things that did not serve me. I learned to filter out thoughts that were not positive or optimistic. All the negative thoughts, things that I did not want in my life, I learned how to filter it out. So that's what I help people do. And I train people and I encourage them and show them how to do that. Now, so going back to the whole framework with this show and everything, once in a while I will come on and do these snippets, whether it's 15 minutes to an hour. The show is intended to last for about an hour, but when I do a snippet, I will just go until it's time to finish, less than an hour or so. And I'm really enjoying this. I hope that you are comfortable. Get yourself a glass of water, get comfortable in your virtual seat, and we shall get going. Now, there's some buttons here, the mechanics of this whole studio, because it's a virtual studio that I'm getting used to. In corporate America, I use a computer differently. We did administrative functions and not a whole bunch of creative stuff. On this virtual studio, it's real like working a studio. It's kind of like, okay, so now let me just show you what I'm talking about. So you're seeing this overlay with me here in this quadrant, on this in this square, this monitor. And now, if I want to take a little break, I can do something like this. Now you can hear me, but it says, we'll be right back. And that's when I take a moment to have a sip of water. And then I come back, I remove that, I go up here, and here we are again. Then I come down here, click this button here, and I have a full screen. I don't know how you are watching this. It may be on your cell phone or a laptop or something, but I'm on my laptop and I've got a huge screen where I can see myself, and I can see you virtually. Anyway, so this is it. Until I figure out what I'm going to do with this show, I will just come on here. And my husband, I used to write a lot of stuff. Well, I still do write a lot of stuff on Facebook. And my husband would say, gosh, you're writing and your thoughts are just so inspiring and creative. And you have a way with words, and just your ideas are just so encouraging and motivating. And so forth. He says, you need to just get it out. He used to say that all the time. Well, he still does. And this is it. Instead of writing, or in addition to writing on my Facebook page, I am now you're going to get a different side of me. You're going to hear my voice, and obviously, you're seeing me. On Facebook, you just read my words. Here, you will read my lips. So let's get going. So, talk about identity and living a life that is really not you, your personality being shaped by the words that were shared with you, that you were told when you were growing up, and living an identity that's been imposed upon you and not the real person that you are. That's one of the reasons people don't know. They don't know what to do. They don't know their purpose. They don't know their ambition, their desires. They don't know what they want. All most people know is that they want a good life. Everybody says that they want a good life. They want to be happy. That is a fundamental need of every human being. We want to be happy. We want a good life. And for that, you've got to have some kind of freedom. You have to have freedom to do that. But if you don't know what to do, what will you do? If you don't know what to do, you do nothing. And that's where depression comes in, because there's that thing on the inside churning, saying, let me out, let me out. I want to have fun. I want to do this. I want to go here, and so forth. But if you have that desire suppress or out of ignorance, really not knowing, not because you're ignorant, but simply not knowing what to do, you do nothing. And most people just day after day repeat the same patterns, the same habits, the same actions, because in their minds, the program is what others have placed there, designed, place in their minds. And that's generally from childhood. If you have not changed that by a journey of self-discovery, to know who you are, to know what you like, the things that drives you, the things that makes you laugh, the things that you love to do, what makes you happy, what do you consider fun, the people you like to be around. If you're not experiencing that, then, and if that's what you desire, then you are living on a program that is outdated, a program that's corrupt. Why? Because it's not you. It is not your program. It is not what you want. You just by default. You get up, you have a cup of coffee, you have breakfast, you get dressed, you go to work, you come home, you watch TV, you eat, you watch the news, you go to bed, you get up, and it's just a cycle over and over and over. And then you're told by your employer you've got 3 weeks vacation in a year, and by then perhaps you don't even have the money to go someplace, or if you do, it's not really where you want to go. There's just a series of things that can sometimes hold us back. It doesn't need to be that way. It does not. Just imagine if you, now, people say money doesn't make you happy. I beg to differ. It doesn't make you happy. My health makes me happy. I'm glad that I'm healthy. But money helps. I assure you, money helps. Why? Because it allows you the opportunity to do it. It allows you the ability to do the things that you want to do. It allows you to go the places you want to go. But the thing about it is that whatever it is that you want to do, or where you want to go, or things you want to accomplish, I'm telling you, you don't have to think money. When you make a decision, I read a book years ago. It's called The Science of the Mind by Ernest Holmes. I read that years long ago. This is when I was back before I came to America, I think. Anyway, it was a while back. And I am telling you, ever since I read that book, I became cognizant of the power of my mind. No one controls my mind but me. I am able to think the thoughts that I decide to think. I do. I think the thoughts, and I set up. And one thing that happened after that, this is kind of recent since I've been going through this journey of self-discovery. When I decide that I can change things in my life that no longer serve me, I can change. If there are rules, I get rid of them. I either change the rules or I get rid of them. No rules. Values, I set up my own values. Belief systems, I have my own. In most cases, I like to know stuff because belief is really doubt. Belief has a definition of I'm not quite sure, but I believe that because they said that. So I've kind of stepped away from that belief things. I want to really hover around things that I know work. And I have come to realize that as I reframe my mind to the things that I desire, not the things I don't want, but the things that I desire, I realize that once I make a decision, there is no escape. Guess what? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I see it working. People call it manifesting, attracting. None of that. I don't hear any of that label because people get into this mindset and into these wars of words and semantics and all that. I don't want. I stay away from that. I do what works for me, and what works for me really is once I hone in on a thought, an idea, a desire, a dream, something that I want to do, someplace that I want to go, once I hone in on that and I make a decision, there is no escape. It's going to happen. That's just the laws of whatever. They call it law of attraction. Well, so be it. It's me informing my subconscious. It's me serving notice to my subconscious mind. Listen, this is what I desire. Get to work. They work together. It starts here, it comes here, the thought, the desire, the wish, the dream, the goal. It comes here. I embed it, I nurture it, I think about it, I I I I, I just nurture it, and it becomes to where it consumes me. It just in a way where I that's all I think about. And when I think about it, it makes me happy. Why? Because they're good, positive, and optimistic thoughts. They're good thoughts. And that's why they're good enough to keep me happy, keep me content, joyous, with a smile on my face. They're happy thoughts. So these thoughts becomes ingrained in my mind. Remember, I have a new program. I got rid of the corrupt, the old-fashioned, the outdated program of you can't do this, you can't do that, and all of that. I got rid of all of that. And I have a new program. You've got to have a new program designed by yourself with software, uh, language that's yours. That's why when I do these, when I talk to someone, I am not guided by what someone else says. I have such an aversion to that. And there are people that share some great ideas, but I am not guided by that. And I encourage you to discover what works for you, because what works for you becomes uniquely yours. Uniquely yours. And once it's yours, no one can take it away from you because it's embedded in you. Going back to the mindset. So those thoughts of whatever it is you want, you desire, you wish, you dream, goals you have, serves notice to your subconscious mind. It tells it what it needs to do to go to work to bring it to pass, to make it a reality. That's the whole function of your subconscious mind. Likewise, if you think negative, if you operate in fear and doubt and worry, that is exactly the message that you're communicating to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind will just take that information. You fear for your kids, you fear for your life, you fear you're going to lose your job, you fear you're going to have an accident, you fear, you fear, you fear. That is the message that's being transmitted to your subconscious mind, and they will go to work. They do not discriminate with thoughts. They do not, whatever thoughts that are fed into your subconscious mind, that is exactly what happens. That's what the mind does, your subconscious mind. That's why when I have, and don't get me wrong, there are thoughts that, I mean, some gross thoughts, that sometimes scary thoughts that sometimes try to come to my mind. I have this huge filter that I just filter it out, comes in here and goes out. I have learned to master that. And I use that when it comes to my health, emotional, physical, spiritual, mental health, in every situation. You know, if you have a little pain here in your arm, you already, most people, they already start self-diagnosing, and we have the habit of always thinking the worst. We do. I flip it around. I flip it around. If I have a, little pain or whatever, you just get rid of it however you can. And it just goes away. You tell your mind, no, I'm not, this body is not set up for pain. This body is not set up for suffering. This body is not set up for aches. It's not set up for that way. It's not designed to be sick. This body is not designed to be sick. This mind is not designed to be depressed. My mind is not designed to be anxious over nothing, anything. It's not designed for that. That's not what my mind is designed to create. You know why? Because I know I am a magnificent creative being, and so are you. You are a magnificent creative being. I'm not just saying that. I mentioned that to someone when I said, yeah, they said, well, I don't even know who I am. And I said, well, you're a magnificent creative being. And they just took that as words. And it's not until, a series of sessions that I was able to elaborate what I meant by that. But the beauty of it is that they started to realize the definition, the significance of what I shared, so that by the time we talked about it, they understood. And now they are, fascinated to know that they have a creative mind and they can create the life that they want. Just like you can create the life you want. You can design life so that you can live life on your own terms, the life that you will enjoy. Life is meant for pleasure. People have all these definition of the purpose of life and the purpose of life. Regardless of what your purpose is, it boils down to pleasure. It gives me pleasure right now, just sitting here chatting with you. And you know what? You know what I'm sensing, because I'm not used to talking through a camera. I'm sitting here in my beautiful home, very relaxed, and I have my MacBook right here in front, and I'm looking at a green light. And now in my mind, I am seeing like a vast audience that I'm talking to, and it feels good. It's too late for you to tell me, um, anything otherwise. That's what is in my mind. So as I do these little snippet of message, that's the thought process that will go through my mind. Yeah. And it feels good. It is a pleasure to be with you today. It is a pleasure to chat with you today. It is a pleasure. I told you, life is a pleasure. It's not just things that we do and adventures and fun and all that. Giving is a pleasure. There are three main things that brings you great pleasure in life. That's food, that's sex, and giving. And giving is the most selfish thing we can do. How did I come up with that? Because when I give, it's really for me. It makes me feel so good. You know what I'm talking about. When you can give your family or your kids or a friend or surprise somebody with something nice, it feels so good. You're in line in Starbucks and you say, I'm gonna pay for the next two customers, whatever they buy. Here's, that is such a good feeling. So that is my whole assessment of giving, being something selfish. You know what I mean? It just feels so good to give. But understand this: if you don't have anything or what it takes, you don't have anything to give. And when I talk about giving, I'm not talking about necessarily money. That too, but I'm not talking about that. Your skills, your talents, your expertise, your ability, things that you have mastered, to be able to share that, that is fantastic. To be able to share that with people so that their lives can be better. That's the greatest feeling in the world. It is the greatest feeling in the world. And when you know that you can, but you have to start with you. You have to start with self care. Anything you do, you have to start with self care, because if you don't take care of yourself, there is no way you can give your best to your children, to your husband, your spouse, your family. You can't give them your best when you're tired, when you are not able to. No, you have to be at your best mentally, psychologically, physically, emotionally. You have to be at your best. You want to be at your best as well. Yeah. So that you can, I mean, especially, some people enjoy time with their grandkids. Well, those little bambinos, they have an energy that yours probably cannot match. But imagine if you've taken such care of yourself that, well, if you're healthy and able to walk and run and so forth, imagine the joy when they go, come on, nanny, come, grandma. That's not my life, but sounds great, doesn't it? For those of you that have grandkids, it sounds great when you can really enjoy time with them. So it starts with taking care of yourself. And how does that start, my friend? It starts with a new program. You have got to change the program, because if you have gone through a journey of self-discovery, or if you're going through that now, then obviously you're putting some action to it and you're changing it. But if you have not even considered or know what that is all about, then you have got to start that now, because now is the time. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your resources is. You make a decision to start and you will see all the resources coming to your aid. That's just how it is. That is a fact. Circumstances, people, situations, life's event, doors will open for you out of nowhere. But you must be prepared to go through, to accept the change. It starts with the decision. You listening to this message, I am delighted that I can come on StreamYard and stream my message to you. You know why? It thrills me. I thrive on this pleasure to see people live their best life. Why? Because there's enough suffering in the world. There's enough unhappiness and sadness in the world. That's why my show has to do with living on the bright side of life. Living on the bright side of life. Yeah, unapologetically. And when you get to that point, guess what? When you get to that point where when you have mastered, or you have control over your thoughts, and you are designing life on your own terms, and things are flowing for you because of the thoughts that you are setting in your mindset, entertaining, ingraining in the new set of thoughts, your thoughts, the ones that work today, 21st century thinking. When you get to that place, you will not move from there. And let me tell you, you may have to give up some things. I've had to, but the reward of what I have received. And one of those things could be your circle, friends and family and acquaintances. You may have to change that. Doesn't mean you don't love them, but you have to surround yourself with people that will fill your cup. Because if you don't, if you are, you know, if you are dealing with pint size mentality as opposed to gallon size mentality, pint size mentality cannot even conceive of your gallon size dreams or goals or desires. You know what they would say? They will say, she is full of herself. Yeah, I'm full of myself. I sure am. Who else should I be full of? I'm full of myself. Absolutely. Full of myself. Full of myself to overflowing. And I'll stay that way. That's what you need to do. Get to a point where you're full of yourself. Why? Because you are hanging around people who fill your cup with positive ideas, encouragement, thoughts. People that fill your cup. And when it's gallon size, I'm telling you, you won't be able to, that's where you're at. And once you're there, it has to be unapologetic. Do not apologize for your success or anything you achieve. You can't be apologetic. Yes, you try to bring someone up and you help others. That's what we do, but you don't apologize. Because if you apologize, it's like saying to your mind, "Oh, I didn't mean it for it to be that way." No. You have to make a decision. This is what I want. And go through the challenges because it's not easy. You go through the challenges and you sort things out, and people that are with you, they're with you, and those that cannot stand the new you or the progressive you or the evolved you, then you have to bid them goodbye and wish them well. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Builds confidence and assertiveness. It's not pride and arrogance. Don't let anybody tell you that. People want to say things like, don't think too highly of yourself. Well, you don't think that you're better than anyone else. That's crazy because you're better than no one. I'm better than no one. But yeah, I think highly of myself. What do you think? I'm going to think lowly? Play small? No, that'll never happen. I'd rather not say anything than try to play it down. No, you don't have to. Play small. Oh, well, I don't want to be rich. I just want enough to be comfortable. No, damn it. You want to be rich. Because if you were to win the lottery right now, $200 million, guess what? That money is not going to charity. You know it, and I know it. The first thing you're going to do is get a bigger house, buy the cars of your dreams, buy the family, because the family always show up when they know you're a millionaire. Buy the family the best that you can offer them. And guess what? You will be on the plane flying all around the world. Yeah, exactly. So don't play it small, because if your dream materializes and create the resources that you need, yeah, in most cases, you are going to make sure your kid that has a 3.9 average in school and wants to go to Harvard and who are willing to accept them, you're going to make sure that you pay that tuition. Why? Because that's what the resources does. That's what resources are for, to do the things in life that you desire. So you cannot be apologetic about it. And if you travel someplace and it was a great experience, and when you come back don't be afraid to share and don't be apologetic. Oh, yes, we stayed in this little hostel. No, share. You're not bragging, you're sharing your joys. Now, you, not the whole population is going to embrace that or applaud you or be happy for you. It doesn't matter. If you get 1% of the population that can be happy for you, that's good enough. And in most cases, they're people that are living their best lives. That's why I mentioned earlier that you have got to hang around people of gallon size mentality, gallon size dreams and goals and desires and wants, because pint size thinking cannot even conceive of anything more than a pint. You just, you, you just have to acknowledge that. You just have to come to that. And it's okay. It is okay. Once I figured out that not everyone is going to like me in life, I was okay with that. You know why? Because I don't like everybody. I don't like everybody. Some people have, more favor with me than others, but I don't like everybody. I don't hate anyone, but I choose not to be, certain people I simply don't like. And that is okay. I don't run around saying, love you, love you, love you. I don't, because I don't love everybody. I don't, whatever you want to do with that, you can figure that out. But if you're honest with yourself, you don't either. You don't love everybody and you don't like everybody. So if somebody doesn't like me, that is okay. Paul would say, Paul in Costa Rica, he would say, el que no aporta, no importa. Translated means if you're not contributing to something, it doesn't matter what you think. That's what he says. I kind of like that. I wish I could really translate it so that it can have the same gusto as it does in Spanish. El que no aporta, no importa. 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 Anyone that doesn't contribute to your well-being in any case doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter their opinion or their thoughts. Doesn't matter. Once you come to that place as a gallon-sized thinker, mindset, thoughts, knowing how to direct traffic, take on a leadership role of the thoughts that comes through your mind. Yeah, that's a leadership role. Take on that leadership role of those thoughts. Send them to your subconscious mind and say, this is what I want you to create. It is so fascinating, that whole process, because when you see it happens, when you see it comes to pass, when you see it materializes, is like, oh my gosh. So what would happen then is that you start forging your life in that same pattern. You use your filter to get rid of the negative thoughts, and you use the power you have to create the thoughts that you want. And once they become ingrained in your mind, set in your mind, that's where the term mindset comes in. When those thoughts become set, ingrained, infused, settled in your mind, and that happens by repetition of thinking the same thoughts, positive and optimistic. Once it becomes set, then you, as the leader of the thoughts that are set in your mind, you send it to the manager of your subconscious. You send it to your subconscious and you tell it what to do. It takes orders. That's all it does. That is one employee that will never challenge you, your subconscious mind. It does what you tell it to do. It's fascinating. And it, in my mind, when I learned that, all I could think of, there's my subconscious just there dormant, doing nothing. Not anymore. I keep it busy. And the subconscious mind has all these workers, creators, uh, developers doing stuff, and the subconscious is waiting for information, instructions, a message, a command to do work. And so when I say go do this, they take the command, okay, whatever instruction, information uh, that I submit to them, to it, the subconscious, takes it, reviews it, and disperses it to the different workers. You do this, you do that, you bring that person in, you create that situation, you open that door, you cause that person to call her on the phone right now, you call this person to make her an offer, you make sure that the bank knows that this amount is deposited and so forth. That is how it happens. Oh, you want to go on a trip? Oh, really? Okay. Where's the place they go? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Calls her to check this website, to check this airline, to check this hotel. Oh, she likes luxury hotels. Okay. Uh, Tell her to go this place, encourage her to go that place, have someone to get in touch with her that has been to this hotel, to that resort, to that country, to that museum. And that's how it happens. And any minute now, you find yourself on a plane traveling first class. Why? Because the resources turned out to where it could happen. You find yourself in a first class seat, or let's say a business class, pretty much the same thing. The seats recline and you can go down, and you've got all these movies and the blanket and the socks, and you're on a 10-hour flight to Europe, wherever you want to go, Iceland, Antarctic, wherever. You find yourself in a first class seat on a plane for 10 hours. And then they're walking by. Would you like a glass of wine? What would you like to drink, ma'am? What would you like to eat? Snacks, vanilla ice cream. And then you say, and please put some uh, liqueur on it, Bailey's. Make that 2 little bottles of Bailey's on my vanilla ice cream. And then you kind of pull your seat up and you're watching a movie and you're thinking how great life is. Then you arrive at your destination and you have your bags and you get in a taxi. And because you have done your homework, you say, okay, I'm going to this hotel close to the Eiffel Tower. And they said, the taxi driver, okay, madam, that will be $60. And you said, no, I've checked, and the going rate is $40. And they said, okay, madam, 45. And I'm like, okay, because it's a nice, beautiful limo. And then you get into the limo and he offers you a bottle of water. And he says, oh, how long are you going to be in Paris? And you say, well, I'm going to be here for 4 days. And then we're going on to Brussels and whatever. And then he says, oh, if you're going to Brussels, how are you going to get there? He says, well, you could take the Thalys train and get on this train. And it's the fastest train and it's clean and it's luxurious. And take that train. And you're like, oh, great. Piece of information from the taxi guy. And you spend your time in Paris and you have a great time and you visit all that you want to visit, and then when time comes you go to the metro station and you get on the Thalys train and you get a nice ride to Brussels, and end of story. It can go on and on and on, but that is your life. You can substitute, that was a personal experience. You can substitute that whole scenario for something that you want. Absolutely. Just change the chip and create what it is that you want. I am telling you, I cannot even express how grateful I am to be able to come on this platform and share this with you. It gives me great pleasure. But I'm going to come to a close, and I'm not sure when the next recording will be, but because I'm liking this, it's going to happen more frequently. Right now, we're doing a weekly show every Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And sometimes I may have a guest, but if I don't have a guest, I will be your host and I will be your guest to the Cynthia Linox Show. In the meantime, stay well, take good care of yourself, and remember, self care is absolutely necessary. Appreciate you much.